Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on your Monday evening. Welcome to our Step Up March Mentor Training. We are so excited to have you here at Step Up. Today, our theme is really talking about ethics and safety and mentorship. And we really know at Step Up, our participants, this is important for them to feel connected, career ready, and confident. We are seeking to support them in exploring community connections to provide a web of support, social capital, and a sense of belonging, all through mentorship in partnership with you. So thank you again for your commitment to joining Step Up and to supporting the next generation of leaders. With that, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Juliet, the mentor training and experience manager at Step Up. And again, I'm really excited to get into today's topic. We have an amazing guest speaker today, one of our very own Step Up staff members, Ashanti Rowe, based in Atlanta. And before we jump into all of our content, and hand it off to Ashanti, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Ariana, to introduce herself and lead us through the icebreaker.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ariana. I'm the Mentor Engagement Associate, and I live in Dallas, originally from Michigan. And I'm just excited to be here today and hope to equip you with information to help you build relationships that will help you engage more and step up and with your mentees. I always get those confused. But first off, I'd love for everyone to share in the chat their name, their city, and if they feel comfortable, your LinkedIn handle. And I think this is like a good way to just network and meet, different people. Awesome. So I see we have Carmen from Atlanta, Sacramento. Hi, Tammy. How are you? Juliet's in Austin. Perfect. So to start us off, I do want to start with the agenda and walk through your role as a mentor, some key learnings and norms like we seek to cultivate in our community, of course, ethics and safety, upcoming events for you as a mentor, and at the end we'll have time for questions and then
And now we're just going to get into more Step Up specific information. And many of you have potentially heard of the Step Up vision statement. That Step Up guides every girl and those who identify with girlhood to their success. So really through our programming for teens ages 14 to 18 throughout high schools around the nation, and then our programming for young adults 18 to 29, virtually and in person. We try to provide the support and really a roadmap for whatever they want to pursue, and really have them define success on their own terms. So really just with our Step Up programming, not only we're helping them gain confidence, career readiness, and connectedness, but really community and feeling empowered to expand their horizons and the possibilities of what they could be and what they can do. And knowing that it's okay to change too throughout your career journey. So with that, I'm just going to go a little bit into our Step Up mentorship model. So how does our mentorship model work? It really has four key pillars: mentorship, community and connection, social emotional learning, and career practice. So through these four pillars, we really have the ultimate goal of empowering the next generation of leaders. And by you all being here today as mentors, you're really taking action to provide that structured support for teens and young adults through their unique paths to success. You all, as mentors, have amazing expertise and experience and strengths, and skills that will be valuable to Step Up participants, and really through mentorship, community and connection, leaning on that village of support that we all have, is what we're trying to cultivate through these 4 pillars. And now just a little refresher of who Step Up serves. I talked about our high school participants and those who identify with girlhood ages 14 to 18, young women, 18 to 29, and really our main focus is girls and young women of color facing systemic barriers. We have many of our participants are first generation college students, first generation American. And so really providing that web of support and mentors they can relate to, connect with, and learn along with is important. And then we have programming actually in 6 cities. This is totally my bad. We have programming in Los Angeles, Dallas, Chicago, New York, Nashville, and Atlanta. And looking also expanding this spring to the Bay Area and Houston. So we have 6 cities that we have high school programming with right now. And then just a little bit about who our mentors are, who they are, and really why maybe you all are here today. Whether you've mentored before, you are a mentee, or you've never been in this kind of environment, you are welcome. There are no skills or prerequisites needed for this mentorship experience. It's really professional seeking to empower the next generation by being authentic, curious, confident, and always learning. And of course, there's so much more than this in the qualities that you provide as mentors. You are confidants, you're a support system. Sometimes you may be the only understanding of other paths teens or young women may see or hear from in their communities. Mentors are impactful and really help guide our teens and young adults in supporting, again, whatever they deem to be successful and whatever they want to pursue. So just in the chat, would love to hear a couple of responses as we go through our next little portion of what kind of mentor are you striving to be? Are you really just looking to be authentic, gain a kind of like mentee relationship where you can just cultivate and support a young person in their journey, get to learn more about them, maybe from a developmental aspect? Or are you really seeking to maybe tutor someone in something very specific and have like a specific skill or thing that you want to pass on that I can specifically support with, like resume writing or something like that? Or maybe it's just a general, I would like to be a kind mentor. I would like to really be an open environment for those conversations. So feel free to add what kind of mentor do you want to be this year, and really at Step Up for our teens in the chat if you have a minute. I love it. Authentic and open environment. Yes. And I'm just going to read someone that they can go to when they need to talk. I don't want any young lady to feel alone or unloved. I know what this feels like, and maybe I can help them to make some of the mistakes that I made. Wow, beautiful, beautiful responses. I would like to be a kind, authentic, fun mentor. Yes, we need fun everywhere. Amazing. So feel free to keep adding your whys in the chat, and we will go ahead and move on to just why we're here today, why it's important, especially when working with youth, to have ethics and safety. Really, when we're in the context of Step Up, we are dealing with teens, we all are dealing with girls, and those who identify with girlhood. And so being conscientious about their perspectives, the things that they might be dealing with that are different than it was back, when you were 14, 15, 16, those ages, trying to put ourselves in their shoes is really what I try to do every time with this work, but especially when I'm going into a high school where I've never met these teens. So really just from a research standpoint, our Step Up Impact Logic model was influenced by Mentor, the National Mentoring Organization, and their study called Who Mentored You? And this was an expansive research report utilizing data from over 2,600 Americans. And it really had 5 key points in it. And really, throughout our time in the last 30 years, Americans reported an increase in mentoring relationships, which is really great to hear. There's growth through a lot of programs providing mentors and greater equitable access to mentorship across all socioeconomic lines. Also, today's young people are reporting increases, though, in that mentorship gap. So they are less likely to report having a mentor, especially for millennials or for Gen Z. So maybe there is more mentoring happening, but in today's young people, it really is still a gap of how do I get a mentor, or where do I find this, or how do I even talk to someone about my career goals. Also, just even when mentored, most youth remember times when they wish they had mentoring in their life. So about 67% of 18 to 21-year-olds can remember a time when they needed a mentor, but really didn't have one. And I think, we can all kind of relate and understand and think back to a time when we needed a mentor and just really didn't know where to go or how to ask. And so just thinking about that in today's society and our young people today, how we can mitigate this. And really, Americans also, though, attribute much of their success in life to mentors. So mentors can really support upward mobility, that confidence, that career readiness, that feeling of connection, and the village of support. And so despite, there are potential gaps, but there's also an increased sense of belonging and potentially stronger mental health when you do have like a web and network of support. And lastly, just Americans' most meaningful mentors supported them in a variety of different ways. It wasn't really just one thing, like they helped me get this certain job or this certain, certification or anything. It was really building a sense of belonging, having fun together, solving problems, and exposing youth to new ideas, new perspectives, and helping them build their own identities. So just a little bit of research from Who Mentored You and why this is important. And then just kind of our overarching goals for ethics and safety at Step Up. We want to provide safe and brave spaces. So all the things that we mentioned in the chat of why you want to be an authentic and open mentor, creating these vulnerable spaces so people can explore, our teens and young adults can explore themselves and the possibilities, really are these 4 main things. And these are especially essential when you are in a teen environment with minors. A lot of our teens, our high schools have security precautions, such as a background check or different forms you may have to fill out before you're actually entering the building. So being prepared for all that paperwork, but then also really the intentionality of the welfare and safety of mentees. We're creating this safe space. Anyone that we bring in is under Step Up's name. And so we are really cultivating and ensuring that we create safe spaces for our mentees to grow. Next, really just being trustworthy, responsible, and acting with integrity. You all as mentors, again, come with a wealth of knowledge and experience. And so just taking that into this new context with teens and understanding what we can talk about and things that may not be appropriate for different age groups. All of that is very important. And then promoting justice and not engaging in discrimination towards mentees. Whether or not you come from the same background or have different perspectives on life, no matter what, in our Step Up space, we are welcoming everyone. We are not engaging in any form of discrimination. It's really an open, safe space for everyone, again, to explore the possibilities and feel empowered. And then just lastly, mentors, again, need to respect rights and dignity of mentees and their mentees' families. So again, everyone may not come from the same place as you and have different perspectives, but at the end of the day, we're all human and we need to respect the rights and the dignity of all. So just remembering that when we are going into our schools, especially. And we'll just drop a couple of resources in the chat if you're interested in any of this research or where it comes from. But from here, we're gonna pivot a little bit to just a video. Would like to showcase the kind of life cycle of a mentee.
Step Up just continues to be a space where they get to nurture young women and then get to push them out into the world and say, here I am.
Success is being whatever you deem to be your passion. And how can we be the almost invisible hand, as I always say, to guide them along to their own successful path.
After Step Up, I gained so much confidence. You know, a lot of the times we have it in us, but we don't know we have it. And it takes someone or something to really show you that you have it. And that's what Step Up has done for me.
Awesome, and I'll pass it over to Ariana to introduce Ashanti.
Thank you, Juliet. And I love that video. It was short, but it just gives you like that full view of like how confidence can stay with you. So I love that video. But now I'd like to take a minute to introduce our amazing guest speaker, Ashanti Rowe. Ashanti is a dynamic force in the youth advocacy and bringing wealth of her personal and professional experiences to empower the next generation. Currently serving as a teens program coordinator for Atlanta, Ashanti is deeply committed to guiding and uplifting young individuals as they navigate the complexities of adolescence and adulthood. Before joining Step Up, Ashanti dedicated 8 years to child welfare advocacy, leveraging her lived experiences with foster care system just to drive the systematic change in Georgia. As a national youth advocate, she tirelessly worked to amplify the voices of marginalized youth, advocating for their rights and their well-being at both local and national levels. So welcome to our mentor training, Ashanti, and thank you so much for sharing your perspective today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that introduction, Ariana. I've never had anybody read that bio out loud, so it felt good to hear it. Like, ooh, I'm a little special, which is something that we try to draw with our teens, that there is something that's so unique and something so special about them. And so, like, I just want to just preference this, that this is going to be fun. This is going to be interactive. As you heard, I have a background with working with young people who have experience in foster care, and because they're just regular teens, just like any other teenager. And so most times they want fun stuff. They want to be interacted with. They don't want a boring presentation. I don't want a boring presentation, especially after being on Zoom meetings all day and working. And so I want to make sure that we're in a great space where we're energized and that we're pumped and we're really ready to put on our teenage brains and take a mile back in our shoes when we were teenagers in this presentation, so we can best fulfill the work that we are called to do as mentors, to help mentor and guide the next generation. And so without further ado, I just want to also like express that we all play a pivotal role in the lives of our young adults and our teens, whether we know it or not. whether you're coming by a young person and you're having an interaction and you're like, hello, and you gave them a smile versus a hello, like move out the way. Like that plays a part in how a young person sees themselves and how they identify and figure out their place in the world, because we're all trying to figure this thing called life out. And so we all play a role in our teens and our young adults' lives. And so, and obviously with you all being on here, you understand the importance of, what role you all play, because if not, you wouldn't be mentors. So before we get started, I want to ask a couple of questions. And I'd like for you to drop it in the chat. And I'm not sure if we can unmute, but if you can unmute, I would love to have an open dialogue. And my first question is, what are some misconceptions that you've heard about teens of this generation? And I can give a couple examples. So oftentimes, I hear the word entitled. Yes, they don't listen to adults. I've heard that. They just don't care about anything or anyone. I've definitely heard that. Uh, always TikTok. Yes. You know what? We've learned some stuff from TikTok. So TikTok taught me a lot of stuff during the pandemic. So I'm sure it taught y'all some stuff too. Yep, lazy, lack of respect. These are some huge misconceptions that are going around, and some biases. So I'm gonna hold that and we're gonna go into our quote that we have up here. We have more in common than what divides us. Oh, sorry, y'all. Tripping over my words. And in this statement, what is so powerful about this statement is that no matter what generation we are in, some of the things we can always tie back to when we were teenagers. Like, raise your hand if you felt like in high school, like you felt socially awkward. Like, what about if you felt like you didn't know how to fit in with others, or trying to navigate groups? Who struggled academically? Who struggle with family relationships? See, a lot of us have a lot of those things in common. And so the thing is, this is not different. It's just a different generation where they have a little bit more technology. Back in the 90s, folks used to get away from doing stuff like they going sneaking out and all that stuff, or they're fighting and all those different things, and, skipping fences and it just doing crazy stuff. The difference between that generation and our generation is that we got phones. We got locations. Like, our parents can find us. Like, things are more open and more public. Like, so the thing is, it's not different. It's just a learning about the time that you're in and making sure that you can keep afloat with the times. Because as a mentor, if you're jumping into this line of work and you're not in tune with the times, baby, these kids gonna run all over you because you're not caught up. And so the thing is, in mentorship, we have to be present. We also have to be updated with the times, and also willing to put down and put aside our biases, because some of those misconceptions that you heard are generalizations of all young people, and that's just not the case. There are a good bit that do some of those things that with lack of respect and all that stuff, but that's not all. And then we also have to be able to look beyond the surface of, why is this kid being disrespectful? Why does it seem like this kid doesn't want anything? Because we're in charge of seeing our children. Like, because ultimately that's what they are. They're children. We're obligated as adults to see them and to understand that their brain's not fully developed. So some areas may not fire off the way that it does fire off for a 46-year-old or a 26-year-old, because your brain fully develops, as we've learned through adolescent development, at the age of 26 for, I believe it's 25 or 26 for ladies, and 26 to 27 for males. So just throwing that out there. And now that we have gotten, oh, one more question. I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead of myself. When you were a teenager, how many of you all felt like you had a safe space or a supportive person or a mentor? I'm going to change this real quick, because I know that in some cases we didn't have it. I had a couple of people that I felt like, okay, I can tell you everything and dump my load on. And some people didn't. So Y'all are tough out here. You guys are quiet. Sometimes. Okay. So yeah. Um, but yeah, now that we've gotten, in our teenage brain and kind of took a skip back down memory lane, I want to go ahead and let's start talking about, safety and ethics. Every youth mentoring program needs to have safe and I can't say it. Ethical practices that are hosted within an organization to ensure everyone's safety. So this doesn't just cover the safety of our young person. This covers your safety too, because there are things that happen. And if we're not in a space or in a mind frame where we can report those things or understand that we have codes and ethics, that it can get real sticky really fast. And so first I want to talk about, what is safety? How do we define safety? And so when you hear the word safety, if you could drop in the chat, like what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear safety? Okay. So I got Carmen, protected from harm. Juliet said security. Okay, got secure. Awareness is definitely what we have to have as young ladies, is a lot of awareness. So according to Webster, the definition is the condition of being protected from or unlikely to cause danger, risk, or injury. And we all know that safety does not just constitute a physical safety. It also ties into mental and emotional safety. And when we're interacting with our teens and our young adults, we have to enter in like Planet Fitness, there's judgment-free zone. Like we have to be that safe space, because oftentimes young ladies just want to talk. And there may be some things that they don't feel as though they can share with their family. They may not feel like they can share with a teacher or a close friend, but as a mentor coming in, giving them a space that's a judgment-free zone, like, hey, like we don't have to talk about your career today if you don't want to talk about that. If you want to talk about how you feel on a day-to-day mentally, like I'm here to listen to you. I'm here for you. And if there's a way where I can provide solutions, cool. But if it comes down to where this is a conversation where I'm just to listen and not to give or try to create a solution, that's what I am. That's what I'll be. And I know that sometimes, even in my own personal life, I'm a very solutions driven person. So I'm like, let's get to the point. Like, you're upset. Like, no, let's get past this. And I have to check in with myself and say, hey, no, this is a listening moment. This is not Ashanti, go fix this. They're not asking for that. They're asking for all ears. So be attentive and be aware and practice active listening. And so, to ensure, I'm sorry. So when you think of security, how do you ensure that you're safe, that your mentee feels safe? Like, just drop some ideas in the chat. Like, what things do you do to incorporate when you're interacting with your mentee? Or if you haven't had a mentee yet, like things in theory that you would do to ensure a safe space for your mentee. I can say with the young people that I work with, I like to be real, raw, and transparent. If they ask me a question, I like to be just completely transparent. They appreciate authenticity. They appreciate realness. Tammy says, validate how they are feeling to gain trust. Ariana says, allowing them to talk and not cut them off. Yes, that is really big. Carmen, listen and hear them. Yes, because oftentimes we just want to be heard. And so that I found that those things that you all have said are really, really great things. And from transitioning from my last role, I still kind of fill in some spots there. Those are things that I hear often. Nobody wants to listen to me. No one values what I'm saying. Like everyone thinks they have the answers. And I know what I want to do for my life. And this is my life. And why does all the adults around me have to dictate what I do? It's not fair. And I definitely appreciate that you all are already there. Like, you're already in the mindset of, I want to be authentic with them. I want to listen to them, actively listen to them, figure out where their heart is, build trust with them, because trust, oftentimes people are like, trust has to be given, that you have to demand trust and respect and upfront, and that's just not how it works. Like, if you create a space where a young person feels like, okay, like maybe I can open up and I can trust you, that's how it'll go. Like, we can't just say, I'm your elder, you must respect and you must trust me and you must tell me everything. Because when we were teenagers, when adults came in the room, there was just certain conversation. Yeah, nah, I don't trust my mom with that one. I can't talk to her about that one. Or if I talk to my auntie about that, I'm gonna hear about it amongst all the family because she run her mouth too much. Like, those kind of things. And so that's actually going to lead us into what ethics are. And so when you hear the word ethics, what comes to mind there? And if you could just drop that in the chat. I know it's on the screen, but for me, ethics is moral principles. Yep. Morals, values, things laws that you internally live by. And so according to Webster on ethics, it means moral principles that governs a person's behavior or the conducting of an activity. Now, one thing I can always say is that we all have our own individual level of personal code of ethics. And the thing is, in this beautiful experience called life and just being human, we may have a different of code of ethics, and it could be due to the culture we were raised in. I'm a Southern Belle, so you going to church on Sunday, and you're not, and if you don't go to church every Sunday, you're going on Easter, you're going on Christmas, you're going on New Year's. Like, that's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're going to church. Family, also being a young woman of African American descent, some things my family does differently. Like, you don't play at grandma's house. Like, grandma has Sunday dinner, she calling for Sunday dinner, you coming over. Like, ain't no ifs, ands, or buts, you're coming to grandma's house. Religion, we all have different religious practices, and sometimes even in a certain sector of religious practices, we have different things that we go by. Some people don't believe in the prosperity gospel. Some people are like, yes, Jesus was prosperous, or whoever. I've just referred to a lot of Southern things because I'm in the South, but not everybody believes the same. And those things, we have to be self-aware, and have a lot of awareness, especially when we're cultivating safe spaces for other young teens or young adults just come and talk and share their values. Oftentimes, something that I've been challenged with lately, and I'm going to use a lot of personal examples when it comes to this, is really making sure that I'm mindful of people's pronouns. I can say I have made mistakes where I've had a young person say, hey, I identify as they, them. And I'm like, nah, she said. And they looked at me like, man, now come on now, Shanti. I said my pronouns are they, them. And it's been a learning curve, but we have to be open and to not only just listening to them, but learning, like, okay, what is this? Like, I may not be fully educated, but can you teach me? And we always want to make sure that we're doing the right thing, especially by our teens and their families, the families that they come from. So sometimes I know as a person who identifies as Christian, you hear from a lot of people like, you're throwing your beliefs on me. When I go out in public, I'm mindful of that. Like, I don't ever want to throw my beliefs on anybody. If you don't believe what I believe, I respect that. I still love you regardless. And we can agree to disagree on some things, but I don't have to hate you. And I don't have to tear you down because you don't believe what I believe. Same thing goes in, like, politic wise. I did a lot of political work. So some people that I worked with were full-fledged Trump supporters. I, on the other end, was not necessarily the biggest fan of Trump, but I never put that in a space where I'm like, no, you must listen to me and you're wrong. And oftentimes, where we've seen in this climate of this society, that is something that's been perpetuated in media, where either you're with me or against me. And that's just not how these things work. And I want to make sure that I bring this conversation to the forefront, because we have teens that are a little bit more progressive, who are having more political conversations more than ever, who are really involved and in tune with the things that are going on with them and around them. Things that they're, you know, this generation is funny that they're more mentally aware of mental health terminology. So they're quick to say, "Oh, you're a narcissist," and it's like, hold on, I don't mean to be a narcissist. Hold on, help me. Like, so making sure that we're doing the right thing by our young people, but also keeping an open mind and perspective, and making sure that we put our biases aside, because there's no right or wrong way to life. We're all out here figuring it out. Um, 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 and actually, that's so funny that that's actually all I have. So I'm open for any questions, any comments. By all means, I don't know if you all can come off mute, but if you can, that's cool too. But if you can't, that's all right too. Yes, I completely agree that it is the willingness to learn is so important, especially in this generation.
Ashanti, you have dropped so many gems. I'm like trying to keep up, but I'm like, I'll have to go back and watch the recording because you said a lot of stuff that really does relate to being working with teens and just being open-minded and keeping up with the times. Like some it can get ahead of us, even if you are a young adult or no matter what your age, you can look back and not realize who the latest rapper, singer, or how many, subscriptions you've subscribed to or how many, apps you have on your phone. So it's just like times move so fast. So I just appreciate you sharing your journey with us and just expressing how important it is to build that safety with teens. And like you said, if anyone has anything to share or any questions, feel free to come off mute or drop it in the chat.
And thank you all. I really appreciate just this time. And I appreciate even being such a newbie in Step Up, being able to come on this platform and express, some of the work that I've done for the past 8 years. And that I still continue to do to help educate older adults. I want to say seasoned adults, make sure that they're helping guide the next generation. Because we all needed a helping hand, and we didn't need a judgmental hand. We needed someone that was going to be with us and really listen to us and share space with us. And so thank you all. And thank you for showing up as your most authentic selves. And I thank you all for the work that you'll continue to do to help influence the lives of our mentees, because they're not just individuals mentees, but they're all our children. They all belong to us. So thank you all.
Yes, thank you so, so much. And following that, we have some upcoming events, a lot of events, and a lot of things for mentors and everyone to engage in. We'll start with the capstone celebration. So please join us. The end of the school year is a celebratory moment for our teens, and we have opportunities in Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, LA, Nashville, and we'll be dropping links in the chat. So feel free to click the link, save it for later, but definitely see which Step Up city is near you or, close, so you can check out our capstone celebration. Next, we have Step Up Saturdays, which is a new series that we're offering this semester. So these sessions allow for a smaller group of Step Up campus teens to receive mentorship in different areas. So our next event is in Clyde Warren Park in Dallas. So if you are in Dallas, please sign up and just spend some time with us. It's gonna be fun. We just had Atlanta's that passed, and it was a really good time. Both mentors and teens loved it. So if you are in the city, please, you can take a QR code or in the chat. And then we have our mentor sips, which is just a time for connecting and for new and long-term Step Up supporters and community members. So we have a bunch of different areas that we're doing our mentor sips. We have San Francisco Bay Area, Dallas, Chicago, And then we have LA. So if any of these are near you, again, take a picture of the QR code, or we'll drop in some more information in the chat. And then we have our Career Connection Conference presented by Stacy's Pita Chips and the Barbie Dream Gap Project. That will be in Chicago and LA. So this is just, as it says, a powerful day of mentorship and career readiness, and a good way to connect and be empowered by the next generation of leaders. And then we have our April mentor training. So if you enjoyed this training, we'd love to see you back. We're learning a different topic that also relates to being a successful mentor. You can take a picture of the QR code or the chat, but this will be doing our April training and it'll be completely different. So we'd love to have you there. And in honor of Women's History Month, Step Up Partners have pledged to donate to Step Up through special promotions. Check out the link in the chat to see all the amazing deals, or you can scan the QR code to support Step Up programming this month by investing in the next generation of confident, connected, and career-ready leaders. And there's some good deals on there. I've taken a look myself and I'm like, ooh, like if you like cupcakes, you can check out sprinkles. There's different things that fits you. So please take a look and see what you like best. And we want to hear from you. So we're going to release a quick Zoom poll with 3 questions. Please answer honestly, and it'll just take a few seconds to complete. And then I'll give you guys a chance to answer them, and then we'll come back. And if you have any other questions or feedback, feel free to email me or Juliet. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to talk about, anything that deals with Step Up or mentoring, or maybe you have questions outside of it, even for Ashanti. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And then I think that was enough time for the questions. If you need some more time, then but I'm going to pass it back to Juliet.
Amazing. Thank you all so much for being here, for answering that poll. And I know we went a little bit over just because of all of our amazing content today. So feel free to catch this on our YouTube playlist later on, share with your friends. Feel free to, again, email me or Ariana if you have any questions about upcoming events. We'd love to see you in person. And just thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night. We'll stay on for a couple of minutes if anyone wants to network for the next 8 or so minutes, but have a great night, everyone. And thank you so much.